It was a damp and foggy morning on the island of Sodor. The trains had stopped for the day due to the fog being too thick for the engines to see properly. The Fat Controller came to see the engines in the shed.
It just won't be safe enough for you all today, so I think this is the best form of action to take.
And then the Fat Controller left.
I had a special train to take today. Now I bet some filthy diesel is taking it.
Well, never mind that, Gordon. I was to take the Lord Mayor on an excursion today.
Will you two stop moaning? Just be grateful that the Fat Controller is considering our safety in this weather.
Well said, Henry. Anyway, we all won't be doing specials for a while.
What do you mean, Edward?
I have heard the Fat Controller is planning to have some of us help rebuild some of the old line stations.
Make sure you don't throw any trucks down the ravine then, Henry.
Henry snorted.
Huh. You know fine well that wasn't my fault, Percy. The trucks pushed me along and I only managed to stop them before I went down with them.
Just saying, that's all.
What stations are getting treated, Edward?
Well, Torryrec is due to be reopened, but there's been some strange stuff happening according to the workmen.
Strange? What kind of strange?
The workmen have claimed they have heard moaning and groaning sounds while working there at night. It sounds very odd.
But Percy was taken aback a little further with this news.
Sounds spooky.
Percy was still a little shook up from the poltergeist incident he experienced a few months ago. The engines sat in silence, as Edward's story stuck in their minds. The next day, the birds sang and the sun shone. The Fat Controller came to tin the sheds. The only engines there were Percy and Henry.
Henry, I need you to take the works train down to Torryrec tonight, as there are some special parts arrived for the workmen to put in place.
Yes, sir.
You will have to stay on site, as the parts are too important to get stolen.
Very well, sir.
Don't worry, Henry. I'm sure what Edward told us wasn't true.
You're right, Percy. At least, I hope you are.
And Henry puffed away to collect the trucks from the docks. Later that night, Henry, his driver and fireman was at the station. He had delivered the trucks, and the workmen had gone home. But he couldn't stop thinking about Edward's story.
I'm sure the story wasn't real. Edward does usually make up stories. Mind you, his spooky stories usually happen at Halloween, so this time it might be true.
Then, Henry heard a low groaning sound coming from the station building.
Who's there?
But no reply came. Henry started to feel very scared. I don't like this. Can't we go, driver? I don't feel safe. I don't like this either, old fellow. But we can't leave the supplies. Then, an eerie voice came out. Help me. Help me. Henry was scared.
It's a ghost!
Henry was so scared that he raced away as fast as his wheels could carry him. He sped down the branch line, but the rails started creaking below him, and he began to wobble. Steady, old boy, steady! Soon, Henry gained his balance again as he came back onto the main line, and he puffed immediately back to Tidmouth's sheds. The next day, Henry and Percy were alone in the sheds once again. Henry was telling Percy what had happened.
It was terrifying. All I heard was this little voice and it was asking me for help.
But you didn't see anything, Henry. Are you sure you weren't having just a bad dream?
No, I was wide awake, Percy. But I am not going back there again tonight. Who knows what would happen?
Percy shivered, and then he puffed away to the harbour. At the harbour, Percy met Oliver and Toad and told him what Henry had said.
Good grief, that sounds creepy. I'm glad I wasn't there.
I'm sure there was a simple explanation, Mr. Percy, but I wouldn't take that lightly.
I suppose you're alright, Toad.
Just then, the harbour master arrived. Percy, the Fat Controller just phoned and told me to tell you you'll have to stay at the station tonight to keep an eye on supplies, as Henry is refusing to come out of his shed. He claims he won't go back to the station in case the ghost gets him.
Yes, sir.
What are you going to do, Percy?
I'll have to do as I am told, I suppose.
Don't worry, Mr. Percy. At least I'll be coming. But as I've said, there's a simple explanation, so be grateful.
I am grateful, Toad.
And then, Percy blew his whistle, and he set off with the train of trucks. Night came. Percy sat at the station, he delivered the trucks and had shunted them away. So now he and Toad were waiting all alone.
There's no such thing as ghosts. There's no such thing as ghosts.
Then, Percy heard the groaning sound that Henry talked about.
There really is a ghost.
Even Toad was starting to think that Percy might be right. Suddenly, he noticed three shadows running away from the bushes.
Wait a minute. What's that?
Percy's driver switched on his lamp, and there, standing beside the line, were three little boys who stood there like a bunch of deers in headlights. So we don't have one little ghost, but three, do we? We're sorry, Percy. We didn't mean to scare you or Henry so much. We just wanted to have some fun.
It wasn't funny, boys. You could have caused a serious accident yesterday. Because Henry raced up the branch line, which isn't supportive to his engine that size. So he could have derailed and became hurt.
The boys felt very ashamed. Percy's driver phoned the police, and they took the boys home. The next day at the shed, Percy was telling Oliver and Henry about him and Toad's adventure last night.
So, it was just little boys playing a prank?
Yes, but I certainly gave them a piece of my mind, that's for sure.
As I said, Percy, I told you there was a perfectly simple explanation.
First playing a ghost, then getting hijacked by a ghost, and now finally getting to find some real ghosts. Whenever will you be through with ghosts, Percy?
I am not sure, Henry, but all I can say is, it seems when it involves me or the ghosts, we certainly have a spooktacular time.
And all the engines laughed. And Percy was confident that he wouldn't dabble with ghosts ever again.